So has this been the best 6 months of any presidency? Well, Clay Travis seems to think so. And I tend to agree a little bit, but he's saying the first 6 months of Trump's presidency has been the best 6 months any president has had in his life. It's transformative and historic on a level none of us 50 and younger have ever seen. Trump 2025 is far more impactful than Trump 2021 would have been. Panic setting in with the Democrats. I guess so, but I'm a little worried about the midterms in 2026. So, that's just normal pins and needles, I guess. He goes on to say, for my fellow history nerds out there, I think you have to go back to LBJ or FDR Truman years to find anything this transformative taking place in the first 6 months. Berlin Wall came down for Bush Sr., but it wasn't in the first 6 months. Thoughts? Yeah, that's the engagement bait. What do you think? Would you date this chick? Thoughts? It's like, yeah, I guess, but no. I do think that this last 6 months have been transformative. And I wouldn't say it's the best first 6 months of every president because we don't know what the next 3.5 years will give us. This bill that's going to be signed is not the best, but it's the best we can get. I would love to have all the Second Amendment things wrapped up into it, but it didn't really happen that way. Maybe it will later, but, you have to be, I guess, a little, how would you say that? A little, you have to give a little leeway, I guess, because you're not going to get what you want. And that's just the way life is. I'd love to get what I want, but I'm not going to get it. And also, I'm also under the feeling as well that regardless of what happens, none of us can really change much. Except at the ballot box, but even that's kind of You're a lot of times you're going to get politicians that are going to fold on you and kind of promise one thing and don't do it. Trump has done a lot this 6 months. He's promised a lot, and he's probably going to get it, a lot of it. And yeah, I think this last 6 months have been great. I've actually I felt a lot calmer for what things going on. So I don't really mind what's going on. I wish some things would change. I wish people would, kind of get behind people, but it is what it is. And there's nothing you or I can do to change it, except at the ballot box, which is not the best, but it is what it is. And so if you go back down these comments here, it says Trump don't give a F. That's the very best of Trump. 100% correct. Americans needed to see what the return to the Obama doctrine would look like. He is much more impactful, partly because, unlike his first term, he has experience with the swamp creatures in Washington, D.C. Again, we still don't have the Epstein's files. We don't have a lot of things that, were sort of promised. A lot of the stuff that he's going to, I'm not going to redact anything. And then, the MLK, JFK files are sort of redacted in some way. And a lot of those files, you got to understand, have probably been deleted, erased, dumped in a burn bit, and you'll never see them. So when those JFK files came out, did anyone think that we were going to find a bombshell? Not really. There's some interesting things in it, but nothing really changed. That's the thing right here. Thoughts on the debt increase, though. That's the thing. I think the debt's going to be increased by $3 trillion, up to $40 trillion in a couple years. How are you going to pay that back? That's the thing. You got to understand, we're all worried about the debt and the debt ceiling and all that stuff, deficit spending. But guess what? They don't seem to be concerned about it. So why should you seem to be concerned about it? But I am concerned about it, but what am I going to do? Again, I would love to pay it off, but we can't. This chucklehead says, Clay is so in the tank. Keep that in mind whenever he's sharing an opinion. Okay. Sincere question. If Trump says that the economy is on fire, why does he want rate cuts? Okay. Sad commentary, the corruption monumental spending remains the most important issue by far and the key to future sustainability. Reagan was far more impactful. Not really. That's why we have the automatic weapon gun ban in, like, was it 86? Yeah, thanks a lot. This level of suck up needs to be studied. I get that. The golden age. All right. So the opinions are mixed, and I am mixed as well. I'm not in the tank for Trump. I support him as much as I can. Just some chucklehead on the internet. But what are you going to do? So so in closing, has it been 6 months of impactful legislation? I guess, and it is what it is. So when you go out there, and you get mad at they're going to add $3 trillion, but the politicians don't seem to be worried about it. Why should I be worried about it? But that's wrong, I would think. I think everyone should be worried about it. We should be paying it off, not adding more debt and more government. Yeah, they did cut spending, but is it going to be impactful? Time will tell, but in the end, the debt's going to go up. They're not going to be concerned about it. They're kicking the can down the road, so the next future president in 2028 and beyond will have to worry about it. And